Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Cyrus Webb Presents. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. So glad you guys could join us once again. For those tuning in on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and on X, glad to have all of you with us. Going to bring in our friends over on IG so they can be a part of our conversation with our new format, which I'm really enjoying. And last but certainly not least, going to bring in our friends over on Amazon so I can reintroduce to many of you and introduce to others our guest, who's also one of my co hosts here on Amazon Live as well. So I'm excited about that. And we're now live on Amazon Live with Cyrus Webb Presents. If you guys are new to us on Amazon, welcome. Make sure you guys do hit that follow button, either here in this corner or down below. You also will see the book by our next guest. So excited to welcome back award-winning author Ally Dalsimer to our broadcast. She's the author of this book you guys see here. It's Okay Not to Be Fabulous Every Day. Ally is also the author of our book of the month for Conversations Book Club, which is It's Okay Not to Be Fabulous Every Day. We're excited to talk to Ally not only about the book for those who don't know about it, but also to introduce you guys to the second season of our show based on her book, It's Okay Not to Be Fabulous Every Day. We're going to be launching actually on Friday, August the 29th. We're going to give you guys all the details about that. Songs by Craig, hello to you. I'm going to see you on the show tomorrow. Katrina Kelly, hello to you over there on IG. Ally, how you doing?
Hey, Cyrus, I am doing wonderfully. I'm so excited to be back here with you. It's the start of another amazing season.
Yeah, I'm excited about it as well, Allie. And we're going to definitely remind our audience how they'll be able to watch us from week to week. And also for those who did not catch the first season based on Allie's book, of course, we'll let you guys know to see that too. Allie, I want to talk about this year. It's hard to believe we're already in August, getting ready to welcome in September. You have been able to not only to share messages from this book, I personally have seen you. You've done two speaking engagements in the CMG family this year too. Talk to us about this year and what it's been like for you to not only be able to share the message of the book, but also to share bits and pieces of your life as well.
It's been a real whirlwind, and I've kind of missed it as you probably know. I've sort of took a few weeks off, and I'm launching back into things. And at first, it was for the first few days, it was so busy and so crazy. It was a little bit of a break that was welcome. And but ever since then, I'm so excited to get back to it because this year really has been a turnaround year in a lot of ways, with the book coming out, in November. And as we've discussed, I was, I had kind of an up and down. Like, do people really care? Would they want to hear about it? Are they interested? And the feedback I've had is just really, really reinforcing and just so humbling that the message was able to speak to people. And it's a little book. It's just a little book of life advice, and it's meant to motivate people and really try to help people find what I call their inner fabulosity, so that they can live the lives they were meant to be and maximize their personal potentials. And it's a simple message, but it really has resonated. And as some folks may know, it's led to the speaking career, and it's actually leading to some other projects that I'm not quite ready to talk about yet, but there's great stuff on the horizon. And so the year has just been phenomenal, which is why I said I'm so excited to get back into it. For me, this is a new season, right? Because I did take some time off to be with my kids,
Yeah.
and I'm excited for what the next few months hold.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Hello to you. I'm reclaiming my time. I love that name. Hello to you. Good to be able to see you, Matt. Good to be able to see you, Matt Gregory, over there on IG as well. So let's go back a little bit because what I tell people every time I show up, and I've been reading from my book, A Word That Used to Live by Ally, on social media now every day for 5 years,
Yeah.
and there's still people
Wow.
every week that say to me, "I didn't know you wrote a book." So
Right.
I'm like, well, yeah, that's my book that I'm reading from every
Yeah.
day,
More
seven
than
days a week.
one.
Right. So let's talk about It's Okay Not to Be Fabulous Every Day, because as I mentioned for Conversations Book Club, I chose this book to kick off season 19 of our book club because I really enjoy and I would have done this, Allie, even if you and I were not working together, even if we didn't have the series, because I think it's the perfect book for people to give themselves permission. I've said this to you before. Talk to us about for yourself, has the meaning of the book, It's Okay Not to Be Fabulous Every Day, has it been reinforced for you more so even after you've written it?
100%. 100%. I think the subtitle of the book is A Journey to Self-Discovery. And writing that book was for me a little bit of a journey. And I sort of, came to the end of that journey, and I did put it out there, a little bit hesitantly at first. I didn't write it to publish it. I wrote it as life advice for my kids. Um, and, and as the book has um, gained more of a platform, and people have become more aware of it, and I've had feedback, and I've spoken about it on, a bunch of podcasts and events and stuff, it's continued my journey. I'm continuing to grace myself kindnesses. I'm continuing to lean into what I love, and not worry so much about my own personal naysayers or negative influences, because we all have those, right?
Right.
Because it's not a one and done book. It's a pick it up, look at it, put it down, go to it when you need it, flip to a section that speaks to you on any given day. Um, and so I do that. And during the first 10 episodes of our podcast last season, rereading those was very reinforcing. And then just over this summer, reconnecting with my kids who are both home for a while, although they were both so busy. It was, I think the time we three had together was probably less than about a week total. But, really, really reconnecting with who I am and what my values are and what my priorities are has been reinforcing. And I've gone to the book a few times, and just when I felt overwhelmed by things, and flipped open pages. And also there's a lot going on in society and in the world that is troubling. And there are sections of my book that help me deal with that, because sometimes, we don't take our own advice. We're like the worst, right? We're all so quick to tell other people, no, you should do this, and be kind to yourself, and be patient, and don't worry about it, and take a look at it this way, or try again, and then we don't do it ourselves. So really being able to do that myself, and using the book as just one instrument for doing that, has allowed me to continue my journey. And Cyrus, I'm a big believer that our journeys never end. Our journeys to become the best we can be continue. Each new day is an opportunity to step into our new selves, and that journey continues until we cease to be here. So I've definitely continued, and have enjoyed it, and am leaning into more and new because of it.
I love that. I want to give some shout outs. Hello to you, Shrine. Good to see you over there on YouTube. Also, Puppy Lover. Hello to you over there on YouTube as well. Glad you could be able to be with us too. I appreciate you guys over there too on X. If you guys have any questions or comments for Ally, make sure you guys put those in the chat. And Ally, that's why I was excited about today. We're starting season 2 of our show on Friday, August the 29th. As I mentioned, we're going to give our audience the details about that. But I wanted people who had not been introduced to you before, for one, to get an idea of the book, but also the idea of what we were doing, as you mentioned a couple of times in season 1, and that is kind of diving into the book as well. And for myself as a reader, I had read the book, of course, initially, but then as I was preparing week after week, and I'm sure I'll do the same thing with season 2, I definitely gained a deeper appreciation for the message, and tried to personalize it, or find ways to personalize it. What has it been like for you to hear from readers? As you mentioned, this was not something you intended to publish, but what has it been like for you to hear from readers about how much something you wrote has touched them?
It's been humbling and gratifying. The point you make about finding your own personal meaning in the book, it was very intentional. The book, for those who have read it, they'll know it's not didactic. It doesn't tell you what to do or how to be. It simply asks you to investigate, and it gives tools for how to do that. And I use my personal stories or anecdotes that I've heard to help illustrate, because as I say, my journey may be different from other people's in the details, but basically it's the same. We all face love and loss, and grief and joy, and challenges and obstacles. We all face these things. And so my story is simply there as an example for people to interpret and then filter through their own lens and apply to their own life. Because what works for me isn't going to work for somebody else, because everybody is unique and everybody's different. And that's what makes us special.
Yeah.
And so when I hear back from people who have really gotten that message, I get some really amazing feedback, and that's been nice. And I've had some people who are like, yeah, whatever, this book is fine. You know, you don't say anything really new here. No, I don't say anything new there. I say that right up front. There's nothing new. I simply interpret it and filter it through a lens that hopefully will provide an aperture for other people to look through.
Yeah, I love that. I want to read something from the book. Ally didn't know I was going to do this, but I'm known for doing that. But I do want to kind of give you guys an idea of what to expect when you pick the book up. So Ally begins each one of the chapters with a quote. The one I'm going to be mentioning today is from Led Zeppelin. There's still time to change the road you're on. It's on page 45 for those who have the print edition. You guys can see it there. So, Ally, so you have the quote, and then you have the message that's included. So I was curious, for those who don't know, and for those who may have missed it in our previous conversations, how did you decide? Did you do the writing first and then find the quote to match it? Or did you kind of use the quotes as guides?
I use the quotes as guides.
Okay.
I have been collecting quotes from everywhere, movies, song lyrics, fortune cookies, everywhere for decades. Decades. They're mantras I live by. And I had them all written out on little sticky notes and scraps of paper that were stuck or taped to my kitchen cabinet. I've got a very tall kitchen cabinet. It's about 3 feet tall. And I had two of them covered with all these scraps of paper. And my daughter said it was the ugliest thing ever and a real eyesore, and I had to take it down. I took them all down and put them in a folder. And then after their father passed, I pulled out the folder, and I started putting these quotes into book format. And then I had it, and I realized, well, they don't really understand what it means. You know, they're still relatively young. They don't understand what this quote means. You know, there were a lot of them I didn't use, like a stitch in time saves 9. You know what that means generally, but you know, what does that mean for a kid? Or there's still time to change the road you're on. Like, what does that mean? And
Right.
so I thought, well, I need to explain it a little bit. And so I started sharing some of my personal stories or what that meant to me and putting them together. And then, you know, I put the book aside for a long time, and I had a personal transition period in my life, we'll call it, which led to me revitalizing it. And then, you know, we are where we are now.
Yeah.
But the quotes inspired me and still do. I use them all the time. And, you know, my kids have gotten to the point where, you know, they'll say something about something not fair, and I'll say life's not, and they'll just say fair because that's from the Lion King, right? Life's not fair.
Yeah.
I shall never be king. And they'll just finish that line for me because I use them so often. Obstacles are what you see when you take your eyes off the goal. You know, the harder you work, the luckier you get. And
Yeah.
and they're mantras. And I think that they have, I know that they've helped me, and my children say that they have helped them. So the quotes came first, and then the 2 or 3 pages that come after are simply trying to provide an example for an interpretation of that quote.
The reason why I wanted to share this one, I thought this was an appropriate one for our audience to consider. Ally, again, the Led Zeppelin quote is, "There's still time to change the road you're on." And you started off by saying this: when we are young, we dream and wish and hope, not for material goods, but for meaning-filled lives and lofty intangibles. To be a firefighter, to go to space, to become a nurse or doctor, or to raise amazing kids. Too often we put off dreams until they wither from neglect or overcome by events. And then you go on to say, as we age and take on increasing responsibilities, it's easy to become mired in the mundane minutia of our day-to-day lives. We forget the wonder and excitement we once felt when imagining our futures. I want to talk about that because I think there is something to be said, you know, and of course there are those unicorn moments because all I wanted to do was write and draw, and I got a chance to do that. in my life as an adult. Um, but you're right. There are so many people who had said things they wanted for themselves and wanted to do that maybe for whatever reason didn't. What helped you to kind of embrace that Led Zeppelin quote and to realize that there was still time, that there was an opportunity there to be able to right the ship, so to speak, in your own life?
Yeah, that's that's interesting, Cyrus, because that was not something that I really thought I was going to apply to myself.
Hmm.
I really, really meant that for my kids. Uh, you know, fear and regret, twin thieves that rob us of today. Like that's my life, right? Fear and regret. That was the place I was living in for a long time, and I didn't want my kids to live in that place. And one of the regrets I had was having to do with my schooling and some of the things that happened around there. And so I really wanted to let both my kids know that they could change. It was never too late to change what they wanted to do. And so my son went to three different universities, and then got busy doing, he's an actor, and he got busy doing acting. And so, he took an indefinite leave of absence, and he'll go back one day, but right now he's just too busy.
Hmm.
My daughter has been to four different schools, and she finally found her right fit, and there was a perception, like when I was in school, I it wasn't right fit for me. Like I ended up having a great education, and I made some wonderful friends and had a good time. But it wasn't a right fit for me. But I never felt this decision was made. I was there. I had to stay, and I didn't want my kids to have that. Ironically, you asked earlier at the top of the show about the recent trajectory and how the book has influenced me in the last few months since it's come out. I have changed the road I'm on. I have become a published author, an award-winning published author. Love saying that.
Hmm.
I'm now a motivational speaker, and I mentioned there's a couple other things I'm working on. I'm I'm at an age where most people are thinking about retiring, and I am literally starting a brand new career from scratch.
Yeah.
And that's because I am embracing my own advice and
Yeah.
understanding that those dreams that I had when I was young, I can still achieve. I can still do them. There is still time. It's never too late.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's such a great thing, Allie, and I appreciate you sharing that. And I appreciate one thing about Allie that I love is her honesty, but also her willing to self-reflect. I think a lot of times, my family has said this about me. I'm a big person that's into self-reflection. I don't think every decision I've made is right. I think a lot of decisions are right for me, but I don't necessarily think that because I've made a certain choice or decision that means everyone should do that thing. But I love, and I've said this to you before, Allie, and I've said it in talking about this book. I do see it's okay not to be fabulous every day as a permission slip, at least to give yourself permission to try. Would you agree with that?
100%. And more than a permission slip, it's encouraging you to try. Please try. Because if you try and fail, at least you tried. You're not going to have regrets if you gave it your all.
Right.
But if the things we regret are the things we don't do, the things we don't
Yeah.
try, the things we just, I don't know, I'm not going to do that. Because go for it,
Yeah.
just go for it. There is still time.
Mhm. And that really goes into again to that message with Led Zeppelin. What you said there, very often, too often we put off dreams until they wither from neglect or are overcome by events.
Yeah.
And one of the things that saddens me the most in my life, and it's funny. I tell people, Allie, the things that sadden me the most have nothing even to do with me. They have to do with people I care about, and I hate hearing people say, "I wish I had
Yeah.
dot dot dot," or I wish I could have, and that saddens me so much because I think to myself, "What's stopping you now?"
Yeah.
you know But the other thing about this, we've talked about success being personal. Allie, I know I talk about that a lot. Our decisions are also personal. You share some very personal decisions in this book. Your decisions, how you dealt with grief, how you dealt with loss, how you dealt with relationships. Talk to us about that, what you've learned in that process, and what you hope others get from that as well from the book. Hey, Stacy, good to be able to see you over there.
Well, I think the biggest lesson from the book that I really hope people will embrace is that no two paths are the same. Everyone's journey is their own, and there's no right or wrong way to deal with your problems or follow, your dreams, because it's your path, it's your journey. And so for me, with the book, you know, recognizing that, because I fall into the habits we all fall into. Is like, oh, so and so's got, XYZ going on, and I don't have that.
Yeah,
Or so and so's able to do whatever, and I can't do that. Um, it's not meant for me. What's meant for someone else is not meant for me, and what's meant for me is not necessarily meant for someone else. And outside of the absolutes of right and wrong, which I'm a believer in, um, everything else, it depends who you are and what your values are and what your dreams and hopes are. And so I simply provide guidance like surround yourself with people who uplift you instead of bring you down, because being in a positive environment will enable you to achieve whatever you're destined for, and to take small steps and be proud of each step. Because if you just take a little tiny step each day, you get to the end of the year, you turn around and it's like, wow, I have climbed halfway up this mountain.
yeah,
And so those are the kinds of things I try to offer, and those are the kinds of things I try to embrace. And we all have to be reminded to take our own advice, like I said earlier. So I try to do that.
yeah. Kathy Hilzapfel is joining us over on Facebook, Allie, and she has a question for you.
Yeah.
And that is, she says, how does Allie deal with imposter syndrome in the book?
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't specifically deal with imposter syndrome, but I lived imposter syndrome for, gosh, well, pretty much my entire career, my entire life until really recently. Over projecting the confidence that I didn't feel, and I think it comes from a place of deep insecurity. At least it did for me, and also a place of not really loving who I was, maybe not even liking who I was a whole lot,
Yeah,
and accepting who I was, and being able to accept who you are and embracing all your flaws, because those are the things that make you unique and make you special. I think is a really good first step to helping overcome that imposter syndrome. And it's taken me, I still suffer from it, I had somebody say to me the other day, wow, you were doing, it was a particular thing I did. I was like, wow, you did that. It's so amazing. You did that. And I was like, yeah. But I was like, you know what? No, I did the thing, and it was a cool thing. So
yeah,
yeah, that was real. I wasn't, but at the time I was like, I'm pretending to be something I'm not here, but I wasn't, because just those are the facts. And I think sometimes imposter syndrome comes from belittling our own achievements, and we really just need to embrace everything we do and who we are, and recognize it in an absolute of of um, of its value, if that makes sense.
it does. It does. Thank you so much for that, Kathy. Good to be able to see. I'm so used to seeing
Yeah,
you on X. I'm glad to be able to see you over there on Facebook. Stacy says absolutely. So I want to remind everyone, Allie. So season 2 of our series on Amazon Live, "It's Okay Not to Be Fabulous Every Day," actually begins on Friday, August the 29th. It's going to be our introduction to season 2. We're very
yeah.
excited about that. Same day of the week, Fridays is what we're on for season 1. The only difference is the time. So we're now on at 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Central Time. Will be our time that we'll be on for the show. So you guys can be able to catch us live there. We invite you guys to be a part of it. Again, 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Central Time. Again, beginning on Friday, August the 29th. That's our introduction. I actually will be live from Los Angeles, joining Allie for that one, because I'll be in Los Angeles covering some events but we're doing our kickoff there, and then we'll begin in earnest on Friday, September the 5th at 1 p.m. Eastern, starting with page 41 from Ally's book. So that's where we're going to be picking up for the new season. So, Ally, I'm excited about this. Excited to be able to have you back on with us. And to be able to share these messages from the book. I'm excited to have this month to be able to introduce It's Okay Not to Be Fabulous Every Day to others and remind them of the importance of that maybe the first half of this year wasn't exactly what they intended. But I love the fact that in your book, you give yourself credit for what is done, right? I think that's the thing most people don't do. They focus so much on, I haven't done X, Y, or Z. Ally really, if you're able to get out of bed, feed the kids or whatever that thing may be, that's a win. And I love the fact that Ally really recognizes that we have to stop trying to minimize those wins. Ally, would you agree?
100%. 100%. It's some days all you can do is get up, brush your teeth, and make a meal. And if that's all you can do on that day, good for you. You've done something.
Right.
So we're so hard on ourselves. We're so hard on ourselves. And sometimes if we just look at ourselves and think, well, what if I was trying to comfort a friend who was going through this? How would I treat them? And, treat yourself with that same kindness and grace. Give yourself a little respite and tackle everything fresh the next day or the next week or whenever it is that you have the mental, emotional, and psychological capacity to do that. And honestly, at the same time, if you need help, if you are not just feeling a little overwhelmed or whatever, but you're actually really struggling, get professional help. There's no shame in that.
No shame. Speaking from someone who's benefited, I can definitely agree with that. Ally, for sure. There's no shame at all. Again, everyone, Ally Dalsimer has been our guest. Make sure you guys go ahead and get your copy of the book, It's Okay Not to Be Fabulous Every Day. We did something special this time, Ally. We have it in English as well as we have the Spanish there as well in our carousel. So you guys can take advantage of that. You can get it in different forms, including the audio book as well for the book. But again, remember to join us when I'll be live from Los Angeles on Friday, August the 29th at 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Central. That's 10 a.m. PST, where I will be for the introduction of season 2 of our series. So you guys can be a part of that. Ally, let them know how to stay connected with you and how to sign up for your newsletter.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got a newsletter that goes out every other week. I'm currently working on a summer recipe series, but we're winding that down and we're going to get back to life advice and guidance and motivation. You can sign up at allydalsimer.com/newsletter. Check out my YouTube station. I've got some shorts there, book reviews. I've got all my interviews, playlists, whatever. And reach out to me on social media. I'm most active on Instagram, and I'd love to connect with folks.
All right. Well, Ally, another great show. So glad to be able to be back with you and looking forward to seeing you at the end of this month.
Me as well. Take care. Thank you. And thanks everybody for tuning in.
Exactly. And we thank your audience as well for tuning in to this episode of Cyrus Webb Presents. Until next time, you all make it a great one. We'll talk to you soon. Take care.